Video rolling. Video rolling. Video rolling. Little feedback in the headphones. Let's go. Audio rolling. Audio rolling. Just want to make sure I'm audible because I'm not seeing the waves too crazy, but we all right. Let's see. Where we gonna start? We gonna start it? Let me take my little celebratory salute. In time. That's what I've been doing. Yeah.
Then you must be at least 60. 70. You cannot be 80.
Aye. Yo, what's good, everybody? This is the 14-day quarantine podcast, and it is your boy 80 Piece right now, and we're back at it. I've been on hiatus for about I want to say 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And I've been trying to reacclimate to the whole situation. And I'm just trying to figure everything out. So yeah, so we're here now, and damn, I got something going right now. It's all good, but we're here now. Yeah, it's 14-day quarantine podcast. We kind of outlasted the 14 days, and actually, just to catch everybody up with what's going on. Obviously, now I'm trying to incorporate a little video to what it is that's going on, and yeah, actually, at the the funny thing is, thanks to everybody who listened to the last episode. I tried to put a little twist on it at the end when the boys kind of carried me out. Whatever. If you didn't listen to it, listen to episode 14. But I mean, currently now, I'm not even in New York right now. I'm currently out the state. I'm in Connecticut actually. I decided to kind of take a step back and fall back a little bit and let New York kind of cool down. It kind of got real hectic in the last days. Shout out to all my people, all my family, all my friends that are still in New York. I'm just waiting for it to settle down a little bit. I'm just gonna head, right back to, home and stuff like that. But yeah, so I've been here trying to get my life together, man. I'm in Connecticut, kind of crashing at my grandmother's crib. Shout out to my grandmother. She currently lives in LA, but she has a house here. And with the whole 14-day quarantine thing, I couldn't go to my parents' crib because they're like, oh, you need to be quarantined. So I was like, hell, I've been doing that since. So, the house is here. So I just decided to just be up in here chilling. I've just been working from here. Within the last couple weeks, I've tried to like take control of my time and really do some things and like really learn and stuff like that. Like if you're looking right now, obviously there's a video aspect now. We're gonna be streaming, well, not streaming, but posting the podcast on YouTube. A lot of people were talking to me and they were like, yo, like we love the podcast, but we want to see the visual aspect. And I guess now, being that everybody's home too, it kind of makes it a little bit easier for people to plug into YouTube and whatever the case may be and have stuff run. So I definitely want to, leave that as an option. Um, yeah. Also, I've just been doing a lot, man. If you listen to the beginning of this podcast, that beat was me. That was probably like the second beat I made ever. Like I've been trying to like get into my creative side and really like try shit. And I got the Ableton. I downloaded Ableton, and I've just been messing around, man, just trying to be more creative. And also like in the beginning of the podcast, I was playing like a lot of different music and stuff like that. And I'm tired of playing everybody else stuff. I'd much rather play, something that I created or something that one of my homies created or something like that. So with that being said, the beginning of the podcast, I'm just gonna try to like just show y'all some stuff I've been working on. And honestly, I'm seriously a novice to all this stuff. And I got some of the homies, they're very talented. I'm gonna play their stuff too because they're super fire. And I just think it's an appropriate platform. Plus, I'm not paying, what I'm saying, like licensing fees to some of the latest and greatest songs and stuff like that. I don't got it. I don't got the budget for it. Maybe later I might, but even though, what I'm saying, I'd much rather build my kingdom than, try to move somebody, in and live off their clout name, whatever the case may be. But yeah, there's that. So if you want to, let me see, I got the screen going, so I'm gonna tilt it down a little bit. See, I got my keyboard on my keyboard. I got a damn Akai professional keyboard set thingy. You know what I'm saying? I've been using to do some production work. Shout out to the homie Shorter and Bad Panda Clothing. You feel me? He looked out with his board. My whole setup is kind of crazy right now. Like I'm looking at what I got going. I got like my DJ controller in front of this. I have a secondary computer to my right, and I also have a mixing interface to my left, a bunch of speakers and headphones and stuff all over the place. Thank God my grandmother's not here because she would have definitely tripped the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? Her dining room turned into a whole low key studio. You feel me? But it's good that you got to make do with what you got. I'm enjoying the time. A lot of time to think, a lot of time to kind of really figure out and meditate and just see what I want going forward, man. Because it's like I had to take a crazy step back, and I had a lot more time to myself. So it's all good. It's all cool. With that being said, a couple other things I want to update people on. What else? What else? What I got going on? Oh, best purchase I made since quarantine is definitely buying a juicer. Shout out to my homie Julian. We had a couple conversations, and Julian, he's in the NFL and stuff like that, and we were having talks, and he's telling me that one of the best investments he's made, in his tenure in his career and stuff like that, was started beginning to juice, fruits and vegetables and roots and stuff like that, and I think he's going on to year 9, if I'm not mistaken. Were we in 2020? Maybe year 8. I think he's going into year 8, and in the NFL, and he's saying like he feels like he's in the best shape ever. And the one thing that he really changed was, juicing and put it well, juicing the good way, juicing and eating. I mean, drinking vegetables and fruits and stuff like that. It helps with his recovery time and all this kind of stuff. And if Julian, shout out to Julian. He was recently just on the Buffalo Bills. He's a free agent now. I'm trying to get him on one of these podcasts sooner or later. But yeah, he's been he said he's in the best shape ever. And knowing Julian is probably the most in shape person I've ever met in my life. So it's like for him to say that, and it's just something like I don't got to go crazy, lift crazy weights or go crazy running or anything like that. I thought that was pretty dope. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go on Amazon real quick and cop a juicer. So that's what I've been going juicing heavy, man. Like juicing heavy. You know what I'm saying? It makes sense. You feel me? Like you can't sit down and eat 14 carrots, or you can't sit down and eat 3 bags of kale. If you do, it's gonna be like crazy. But you can juice it and get some of the same effects that you would get from it, and your body can absorb a lot of the nutrients and stuff like that. And I think that's pretty dope. And it's fun, man. Like honestly, the only thing is just clean up, but whatever. You know what I mean? I'll pay the price to clean up rather than being sick and stuff like that. So I've been having fun juicing, the kale, the celery, the green apples and the ginger and the turmeric and all that good stuff. So shout out to anybody that's been on the juicing wave. If you haven't, definitely invest in the juicer. Definitely. Best purchase I made in 2020 easily. What else has been going on? Oh, shout out to all the homies that have been running. I noticed that, within this quarantine and, the gym being closed and stuff like that, there's been a community of people I know, friends and stuff like that, that picked up running. I started running last year for the Brooklyn Half Marathon, and it became sort of like a hobby a little bit. But with this whole quarantine thing and the gyms being closed and whatnot, it makes it a lot harder to work out and stuff like that. But one of the things you can do is just literally run. It doesn't cost anything. You put your shoes on. If you do half a mile, that's cool. If you do a mile, that's cool. If you get up to 2 miles, 7 miles, 13 miles, whatever you got, like I think it's a good practice to kind of like embark upon. Because honestly, like, you know what I mean. I think I started running. Like I said, I started running for Brooklyn Half, but now I can't work out as much as I would like. I started picking up running again, and I think it's been doing wonders in terms of keeping me settled, keeping me right frame of mind, keeping my cardio up and stuff like that. And it's very meditative. And I got a little group that we run and we post on Instagram, on our Instagram story, and you tag everybody that that's in the little group, whatever, and you show them what you run, so it kind of holds you accountable. And once you see people running and stuff like that, you feel more responsibility to run. You know what I mean? You don't want to like kind of leave them out and stuff like that. So I think that's been super dope. Shout out to everybody that's been running, hitting that pavement and stuff like that. I think that's definitely a good practice that needs to continue on. Um, what else has been going on? Shit. Nothing much, man. Besides that, I've just been cooling, man. Cooling and just looking for opportunities and stuff like that. Um, I really appreciate everybody that listened to the first 14 episodes. I might have a little special gift for y'all, or something that you can kind of reach out and get and stuff like that. I've been trying to, think of different ideas and stuff like that. But I mean, long story short, I've just been in my bag, man. Like a lot of time to myself. I don't get dressed. I wear sweats every day. You know what I mean? Like all the fluff of life has been stripped away. Like, you know what I mean? I talk to my family all the time. You talk to my friends all the time. There's not that physical connection, but there's definitely that mental, spiritual connection. I don't want to seem like too much of a, woo woo person, but that it's definitely dope. Um, Hold on one second. I got a special show planned for y'all. Let me just make sure that the guest I got going is definitely ready to go. Hold on one second. My fault, everybody. You still good to log on? Yeah. And it's kind of crazy. It's gonna be a whole adjustment with this whole video thing, because it's like, yo, do I cut? Do I edit? And mind you, I'm the only person here. There's no producer. It's me running the video. It's me running the audio mixing. It's me playing the joint in the beginning. Is me going and get my water. Is me looking up facts on the secondary computer over here, all in my grandmother's house. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just me. Shout out to the my cousin Malik. You feel me? Like he does the podcast art minus one episode. I did the art for that episode. But okay, cool. But yeah, it's like a one-man show. Like, I don't know. Like, honestly, I've been getting low-key super nice at doing audio production. Like not just the not making beats or whatnot. Like, I got a long way to go with that, but just in terms of setup and input outputs and making sure things are like right. And it's like, yo, this shit is getting crazy, because you got to really go in your bag. And I think honestly, this time alone, it forced me to kind of like sit there and go through the process and learn all the BS that nobody really wants to go through, or go through the hurdles that kind of deter you from continuing on. Shout out to the homie Josh Wells. You feel me? Like, we had these conversations many times, you know what I'm saying, in terms of like doing what you need to do in order to get ahead and stuff like that, and get ahead of the curve. And I think that, now, like, me being by myself, honestly, is what kind of drives me to try things and really go through the process, because it's like I don't have anybody to be distracted by. You know what I mean? And if I'm bored, then it's on me. If I waste my time, it's on me. I can't blame it on going out and doing this and doing that and this person and that person. So it's just a good exercise to embark upon. But yeah, we're here. 14-day quarantine podcast. This is episode 15 now. Episode 15 is a very special episode. Uh, I'm waiting. We got a guest that I think you guys would definitely appreciate. Um, I don't want to give too much information about it, but this person is in the in the trenches, doing a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of testing, a lot of experimentation, a lot uh of the scientific um research and inquiry into this whole situation, this whole process. So I'm gonna see if I could let him in right now. Hold on one second. Let's see. All right,
I'm so sorry about this.
man. Look, man, no worries at all. Listen, for all the listeners who don't know, we're doing something monumental. This never been done before on 14-Day Quarantine Podcast. We have visuals. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, let me just get you a little acclimated real quick since we're just a second do over. Um, this is actually episode 15. I started 14-Day Quarantine Podcast about a month ago, right when the quarantine initially started, and it was just straight audio. I just, went with a hunch. I just wanted to know what was going on around the country, around the world, with the people I know and how the quarantine and COVID is affecting people. And yeah, so it was just straight off, raw energy. I was like, I have the audio equipment. Let me just see what will happen. I'm just calling people on the phone, seeing what's good, checking in and that kind of stuff. And, a lot of people were asking like, yo, like, are you going to put it on YouTube or is there any visuals? Because, me personally, I'm an audio person. I like to just hear things and, be able to look at other things and use my other senses. But some people like to really watch. And I was like, you know what? For the second rendition, I'm gonna try to do this whole the whole video portion of it as well with the audio. So this is unprecedented. This is the first here. So if there's technical difficulties, it's because we're trying to iron out the kinks and all that stuff. But nonetheless, we're back and we're good.
Yep. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, one more
I'm
time, if
very
you
happy to
can.
be here.
Word. If you can, just please introduce yourself for the listeners and the watchers now.
Okay, my name is Terrance Turner. I'm a research specialist, research associate specialist at a pharmaceutical company in New York, in Westchester, New York. I've been in the industry for about 10 years now. I
Mm-hmm.
did my undergrad work at Marist College, did
Mm-hmm.
a lot of research there, as well as played football. Then at New York Medical College,
Hold
did
on.
my
Before you go
master's
any
work.
further, you said played football. I don't
Yeah.
want to like just gloss over that like it's not nothing. I'm a former football player. You know what I mean? I played at Fordham. Shout out to all my Rams out there. Shout out to the Red Foxes, man. We played you guys a couple years.
Yes, yeah. We never could beat you guys, but we played you guys.
For sure. Good times though. Nah, but continue. My fault. I just had to, throw that in there.
Yeah, no problems. Yeah. Played football, played semi-pro ball for a little bit with the Brooklyn
Oh, word.
Mariners. Yeah. Um, so that's pretty much it. Been involved with science. I was a double major at Marist in biomedical sciences and chemistry. I did a lot of research there, mostly genetic research.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Not too much working with infectious diseases, but I do work with the aspect of how it enters the body and how it's able to engage the immune system. So that understanding, I wouldn't say an expert in, but I have some knowledge of how these infectious diseases engage the immune system. And in terms of treatments for them, that's some of the things that my company and other companies are looking into.
Mm-hmm.
You can see my cats all
Yo, that's
crowding
dope.
around. They
I'm
want
looking like,
they
yo,
want attention.
I'm looking like, oh, they got the ill cameo. That's what's up.
Yeah, it's only two of them.
Where.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So, what was I gonna say? First off, I want to, hats off to you. You know what I'm saying? This is the first time I've ever spoken to a molecular biologist. I think it's super dope that you're doing this. Because one of the things that I try to like stress is, people, stepping outside of the box and expanding their horizons. I guess as a kid, I was never really exposed to people who work, really heavily in the science field. Or if I was, it wasn't to the point where I was like, oh, this is super, super cool. This is super interesting. So, to see that you're doing that is super, super dope, to me. You know what I mean? Um,
Thanks a lot.
being in there 10 years too. You know what I mean? And you're a football player, and you're from around the way too. I don't want to give too much
Yeah, from
information
Flatbush,
out there.
Brooklyn. Yeah.
Flatbush, shout out to Flatbush, shout out to all the homies, Flatbush, all the Fort Hamilton
Oh
homies, and
yeah.
all that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Fort Hamilton High School.
for sure, for sure. So you said that your background isn't in infectious diseases, right? Um,
No. Yeah.
so like, how did you start to well, how did this situation, I guess, come on your plate? You know what I'm saying? If I could explain it.
Yeah, so my company, what we specialize in is making antibody drugs. And
Mm,
so what that is if there's a particular pathogen or something wrong in the body, where an enzyme isn't working properly or working too much or doing too much, and it's causing a disease state, we make these synthetic antibodies to go in and bind things and sort of tinker with the natural biochemistry that happens inside of the body to change these outcomes and get things to work
mm,
back to normal for people that are in various disease states. And that has applications for cancer and asthma and all these other things. And so, with for the most part, right now, that's common knowledge with my company's approach, is that they are using one of our drugs called Kazara, which is a drug for rheumatoid arthritis, and it's being used to try this. There's been some anecdotal information that this drug was able to help people who are suffering from COVID-19 and able to get their symptoms to reduce. And so what they've been doing is starting to do a trial where they're um, trying to examine just how well this arthritis drug is able to help these patients.
okay. So
Yeah, and
now go ahead. Continue. I'm listening.
yeah, and so so that's pretty much it for what we're doing right now.
Okay. Okay. So, all right. See, okay, let me put a disclaimer out there. I'm a layman, right? So,
Hmm.
I'm speaking from the perspective of somebody who doesn't have a science background. I look slightly into science and stuff like that, but when I talk about stuff, I'm probably a whole idiot. You know what I mean? But
No.
I'm seeking knowledge and just to understand what's going on. Um, from your
Well, they
perspective,
say if you know it well, you should be able to explain it well.
for
So
sure,
I'd like to hope that I can explain it to where anybody can access this information.
for sure. Um, I just, listening to you speak, you said that your company, you guys developed a treatment for you said it was
Arthritis.
arthritis.
Yeah.
How does it? Okay, where does one start? Where do you start to say, okay, well, we're gonna try this drug that we've been tampering with already, and it's already had some sort of we've done our clinical trials, we've had some success with it. We're gonna tweak it so that it can work with COVID-19 and stuff like that. How does that even come about? It's like, you know what I mean? To me,
Right.
it's like you
So
just
that's a
throw it.
good that,
It's like
yeah,
confetti.
that's a good
You know what I mean?
question. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very good question. So, two things. One, the research that came out of China early on was that there was a certain amount of people who had COVID-19, but was also taking this drug as well as other drugs similar to work on. So this drug interferes with the immune system in a way that rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease, doesn't work. It doesn't happen as bad as it would if you didn't take the drug. So, with the relationship with COVID-19 is that when you take this drug, it interferes with the immune system in the exact same in one of the regions where COVID-19 acts. COVID-19 is very bad, partially because it's a virus, of course, and it's a foreign agent that's entering your body, but also your immune system isn't trained to deal with it. And so what it ends up doing it causes your immune system to be overactive and
Mm,
ends up breaking down your good cells.
mm,
And so most of the time, and that happens to happen in the lungs, and that's why people get pneumonia after they get COVID-19 and they need to go on respirators and they don't recover from there. So um, almost the worst thing about it is the fact that your immune system is confused and it's saying, all right, I need to shut everything down and kill everything to try to destroy this virus. And what ends up happening is you kill everything, you run a high fever, and you end up having organ failure. And that's what a lot of these people are dying from.
oh man.
So, so with that anecdotal and evidence that came out of China early on, um, somewhere it got to either people at my company or the FDA or somewhere else, and they wanted to do a trial where they compared people that's taking this drug specifically to people who weren't, and seeing if it has any clinical relevance.
Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 Um. Okay. Damn. See, I'm just listening. I'm like, I feel like I'm in class. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, damn. Okay. Okay. Bad. 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 So one thing, I have noticed through conversation I've had throughout this month period or so, I've had people who've actually contracted COVID-19, and it doesn't affect everybody the same.
Yeah.
Like, what is that about? If you could just explain that, you know what I mean?
So
Where the
yeah, that's
variables
one of
that
the
goes
things that I don't think that the scientific community fully understands exactly what's going on with that. I mean, you have the data, right? The older you get, the more likely it's worse for you. It seems to be really good for young children, which I'm very happy for. If there's anything good to come out of this, I mean, I could only imagine if children were being hurt by this. But not that older people don't matter or anything like that.
for sure, for sure.
But so you have that part of it. People with any type of predispositions. I'm sure people with asthma probably have an issue with this, but I don't know if there's any evidence about that. Any studies that have been done comparing people with asthma. But I just figured if your lungs is having an issue to begin with, I would imagine it would have a problem with this. Um, People with diabetes, people with high blood pressure, overweight people, things like that. And some more than the other. It seems like age seems to be the biggest thing, and general health seems to be the biggest thing. But but not to say, and I think that this is where, especially in this country, we went wrong early on. I think that people talked a little bit too much about how if you're young, you're good. I thought that that was a very stupid and dangerous thing to do. I don't know if you've seen any post on your timeline, but I've seen
Uh,
several young people that passed away from this or either got really
sure.
sick from this.
Nah, definitely. One of my best friends, um, he contracted it.
Yeah,
I haven't spoken to him in a while, and the first time I spoke to him, you know what I'm saying? He's saying that he's just now getting over it. He's like
right,
just got to 85% ish, back health. And it's
right.
kind of crazy to me. I'm like, yo, what? Like you know what I'm saying? So like I remember in the beginning, right? Like I'm saying, I'm speaking from a layman's
Yeah,
perspective. You know what I mean? Limited information, in terms of from what I'm presented. I do some
right.
research, but then again, me being a layman, it's hard to differentiate what should I listen to
Mhm.
versus some of the other fluff that may come with things. I remember in the beginning people were saying, oh, uh the black people thing, oh, black people can't contract it and stuff like that, and I'm like, what?
And let me say that was the worst thing that probably ever happened.
Yeah.
To our community, and that got me. So I got into so many arguments with family members online about this nonsense that was going on, and it's stupid. You know, thinking that 5G has anything to do with this is stupid. Um, you know, this ignorance and we are the worst hit community from this, and
Mhm.
there's a lot to do with that. Obviously our socioeconomic status in this country is what it is, and the government never really did much to help us with that.
Mhm.
But and you would imagine that the social economically unfortunate people should will face the most of the issues with this. But that coupled with just the ignorance that's been going on and people spreading this stupid, irresponsible information out there that's actually taking lives, by saying that black people can't get it, saying that it's a hoax, saying that the government's trying to just keep us in or anything like that. This isn't the government. If anything, the government wants this to go over fast and not be done with. This is the scientific community acting on this. This is black, white, Asian, Latino people in the scientific community that's trying to save lives and trying to help people. This
Mhm.
is a very serious pandemic, and people that early on, and I think across the board, I think the government didn't do enough early on. They should have shut down the trains a lot earlier. I'm sure the trains are still going on. I don't know what they're doing.
What?
Um, they should have been closing bars and closing everything earlier than they did. They should have closed schools down earlier than they did. I know that a lot of people thought, since kids are pretty safe, relatively safe from this, it's
Yeah.
not about. And that's the thing that makes this virus worse, is that it's not so much about you carrying it safely. It's the fact that you can carry it and not know that you're carrying it and be contagious for so long before you ever show symptoms. And that's probably the worst thing about this.
Yeah.
Um,
Nah, let me just, if I could just interject. Yeah. And that,
yeah,
I think honestly, that was what kind of messed me up with the whole situation. Cause, just from a personal standpoint, like my dad, he has an autoimmune disorder, right?
right,
And honestly, like, okay, I live in New York. When the numbers started getting kind of out of control, I left and I went back to my home state of Connecticut, right?
right,
Currently where I am at currently I'm in my grandmother's house. I'm in her house, like looking around. She's not here. She lives in LA now, but she still has her house here.
okay,
But my parents they live like maybe 7 minutes up the road, and
hmm,
just for the sake of my dad and not wanting to get him sick and stuff like that, like I'll stay at my grandmother's house,
that's the right
because
thing to
that's
do.
what made it real for me, you know what I mean? Because it's
Hmm.
like the worst thing I would want is to be the carrier of something that would be detrimental to the people I love, you know what I mean? And just talking to my dad and stuff like that's toughest dude ever, you feel me? But
Right,
this is a little different, you know what I mean? It's not the muscle brawn and mental fortitude kind of tough. It's you
right,
got to really take precautions. I've never seen anything. This is, to me, it's unprecedented ever.
yeah, it is.
And it kind of, that kind of changed the way I kind of looked at the situation. If you look back at the first episode of the podcast, right? It
Hmm.
happened March, I can't remember, March 20 something. Uh the first episode was jokes. Like I'm cracking jokes with my friends. I'm cracking jokes with my cousin. Like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Just, it's all willy nilly. Oh, this is just happening over there. This, that, and the third. Like people overreacting, and it's very anecdotal and I guess irresponsible on my part. But you know what I'm saying? I'm a layman. You feel me? Like
Hmm.
get my information in a siloed manner. Off of social media and I guess the news. And there's not any well, there's some secondary research, but it's so much information coming out. It's kind of hard to decipher. So I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna demean people who are kind of on that time level, but as time progressed and it got more serious and it got relatively closer and closer as the weeks went, it got closer and closer to home. And
Right.
I just wanted to say that how can somebody decipher, right, the truth versus what they should be following or the right protocol versus the folly and the fake news as Trump terms it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think unfortunately we probably live in the worst country for that,
Huh.
because we have probably the most money-driven media, and our politicians are more about getting reelected than they are about doing their job.
Yeah.
So this misinformation has got, you know, political ties, economic ties, everything but strictly medical information.
Yeah.
So that may be difficult, but obviously the guidelines, social distancing, washing your hands, all of that stuff, that is real. That is probably the most important thing that you can possibly do,
Yeah.
in terms of keeping. If we just remember, they keep saying flatten the curve.
Yeah.
Um, Not an epidemiologist, but you know that makes a lot of sense in terms of if you just make the virus. The problem is the virus is very contagious. If you make the virus less contagious and let it run out of steam where it can't infect more and more people, because remember, this isn't a linear scale, this is an exponential scale. And
Mhm.
so if you infect, and they say that early on, the average person was infecting up to 40 people. And so if you take that and you put that into an equation, 40 by 40 by 40 by
Exponentially
40,
crazy
it starts to run away really fast,
for sure.
especially when, again, the person who's infecting 40 people does not know that they have it. And they're perfectly healthy. They probably never show symptoms or anything like that. Um, so, and as far as, I don't mean to criticize people that might not have taken it serious early. There was a lot of information out there. There was a lot of incorrect information out there from professionals, incorrect information from politicians. The president said it's going to go away by April. The there was a lot of
April,
people saying stuff that,
son,
that a lot of the scientists did not agree with.
man, they said April. I'm like, okay, my birthday's April 7th. My
Yeah.
birthday came and my birthday came and went. It feel like I was underground in a bunker or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
things have to be done. You know what I mean?
Right.
In terms, okay, so how do you? This is a question I have. How do you guys conduct testing? You know what I mean? You do testing on animal, like how does that work? Like the whole testing situation? Because I know when
So
they said they're coming up with a cure and stuff like that, you gotta, you go from animal testing to eventually, human testing and stuff like that. How's that process work, and how do you guys go about it?
So you work with the FDA. The Food and Drug Administration handles all medications and approvals
Mm-hmm.
all over the country, and we have one of the best. As a matter of fact, our Food and Drug Administration is actually the sanctioning um, uh, body for multiple countries. So a lot of countries that don't have the infrastructure to sanction medicines use whatever drugs are approved by the FDA as theirs. So I know Japan has a really good one on their own. The European Union has their own. And then the United States does it for mostly North and South America, Africa, a bunch of other places. So what happens is every step. So if you have a drug that you say that this drug helps people with cancer, a particular type of cancer, whatever, um, you have to submit an application for an FDA review at a certain stage in your drugs development, and
Hmm.
then they look over. So scientists from the FDA will come in and look over all of your data, and you have to explain to them. It's like applying for a patent. You have to explain to them why this is novel, why nobody's done this before,
Hmm.
why you want to submit this as a possible drug to help out with a particular disease. Then they give you an approval to say, okay, well, now we're going to let you work with animals to test this drug. So now you have to make model organisms and you have to mimic this disease state in animals and test it in animals in a humane way, of course, and then prove that this disease has efficacy as well as safety in these animals.
Hmm.
Once you prove that, you can move on into clinical trials, and that's dealing with patients. And you'll have what's called a double blind study, meaning that the patients don't know if they're getting the treatment or
Well,
the placebo,
mhm.
as well as the administrators don't know if they're giving the treatment or the placebo, so that there's no the science will speak for itself. You know, if it works, it'll show it works. If it doesn't, it'll show it doesn't. And
Okay.
so that's pretty much how the entire process goes. And it's pretty similar in Japan and in the EU. Japan, though, has the most stringent. They don't let their people get any nonsense. They make sure that their stuff is really tight. It's even tighter than the U.S. and the EU.
Got it. Got it. And
It's
how long does that process take? I was
years.
saying they were saying okay. So that's a
Normally years.
yeah.
You know, from thought to drug approval could be like anywhere from 3 to 7 years.
Whew.
Yeah, because you know you got to be safe with this, because you know there's lawsuits, and there's, you know, you can sue the FDA, you can sue, like, you know, this, we live in one of the most litigious situations in the history of the world, probably. So, you know, the United States is, you know, and it's right. You know, you should make sure that something works. You can't be out there selling snake oil to people, telling them that it's gonna cure everything. And that's why when you read certain things that people sell, like whether it's holy water or whatever, it says these statements were not approved by the FDA.
FDA. Yeah.
That just means that, you know, the government is saying that, you know, we have nothing to do with this. You can take it on your own, but we don't know if it works. We don't know if it's safe. We don't know anything.
Yo, I
But
saw.
any
No, go ahead. So go ahead. Continue. My
no, I
fault.
was saying any FDA approved treatment, has gone through the ringer, and that's not to say that bad stuff doesn't get through.
All
It
right, cool.
certainly
Because
does.
that was gonna be my next thing. I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
yeah,
yo, but you know, this is funny you say that. I think I saw an article about some guy. I think a doctor in California. He was admitting, or he was administering a treatment for COVID-19 at 4K a pop. Like he said that he had a cure. You know what I mean? Um,
yeah.
and he was getting people to pay 4K a pop.
Right.
And I think they got onto him. He got
Yeah,
arrested
he got
or
arrested.
whatnot.
Yeah, I heard about this.
Yeah, it was super crazy. So it's like it's super interesting to me because in times of desperation, people are looking for some sort of resolution, right?
Right.
And sometimes, just to play devil's advocate, right? Uh Somebody may say they have treatment for something, and they may have a you know, um, their patients may have certain benefits, or they may have benefited from a certain treatment or what have
Hmm.
you. Yet it has not been approved by the FDA. If I could just harken back, like a Dr. Sebi or something like that, a holistic, the whole holistic movement versus pharma, and that's
Right.
like a kind of like a major thing that's been going on too. So
Right.
how do people kind of figure out how to navigate that space, because it's kind of, I know people go off of, okay, my experience says, XYZ versus, maybe the authority within a given society is saying XYZ, and it could
Right.
be contradicting information.
Yeah.
It's
So
kind of confusing for people who are non-scientists who can't conduct their own who don't conduct their own experiments at their own discretion. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah. So what I would say to that is, I do have a lot of respect for Dr. Savvy. I've heard about some of the stuff he's been involved with. Um, what I would say with natural medicine and holistic medicine is that you should take it as, a general health thing. I think that drinking tea and eating good foods and vegetables is good general health.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for your blood pressure. It's good to keep your sugar down. It's good for your general health. And general health goes a long way, right? Like,
Sure.
people develop bad, diseases later on in life because of their general health in their 20s, 30s, and 40s.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not fake. I'm not, it shouldn't be thought of as a competition between, the natural general health people versus the specific diseases. Um, you know, I think that both have their own space. Like, you should have a good regimen for general health, drinking teas and eating good foods and not eating junk all the time and exercise and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a specific ailment and there's something that is wrong in your body, biochemically, and you have something that could intercept that and correct it specifically, you have to take that if it's been proven to be, safe and it works. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that isn't a direct competition with the person that's selling tea and and roots.
Got you.
That's,
Got
that you if there's a cancer drug
you.
and
Mm-hmm.
for your type of cancer, you got to take the drug. If you can afford it, and that's a whole different discussion. But
Right.
if I don't think that those two things should necessarily, and I don't think that,
They're not mutually
frankly,
exclusive and none of that. Okay.
yeah, and I don't think that the scientific community does enough to explain to people that they're not out here to try to you know knock those people out and get those people out of their business. Like, I think that both things are necessary. You can't just be walking around taking pills for everything either.
For
You gotta
sure.
have general, you gotta take care of your body with like real, diet and nutrition and things like that as well.
Definitely a preventative lifestyle.
Yeah,
A healthy
preventatively,
lifestyle
yeah.
choices. And yeah, let me ask you a question. Is your background, are you like from the island? You say you're from Flatbush. Everybody from Flatbush is from
Yeah, my dad is Jamaican.
Hey, Bop. Yeah, okay, cool. Now, I just wanted to just double check that you were saying herbal teas, and I feel like my grandmother's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she's throwing her hands up in her grave, from my Jamaican grandmother and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Um,
no.
My
Drink
background
the root
is
teas and
for
ginseng
sure.
and all that other stuff. Yeah, of course.
Got you. Okay, cool. I like that. I love that approach. More of a synchronistic approach rather than a mutually exclusive approach. And I think
Bingo.
that narrative is definitely being pushed. It's either, it's like, and just this is me just sitting, in my humble abode and stuff like that. It's really like I see like a us versus them
Right.
mentality when
Yeah.
it shouldn't have to be that. It should be a collective. Okay, you know what I mean? This works. If your situations are dire and you are experiencing, bad health complications, you know, for sure try the drugs or whatever the case may be that may help your ailment, because it's all about bettering yourself, at the end of
Right.
the day. Like, don't
Exactly.
go here eating, some fast food 24/7, 24/8 and drinking soda and thinking that, this magical pill is going to save you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Without
Yeah.
your health,
It's
you know
like,
what I mean?
they'll get a pill for that. They'll get a pill for that. They'll get a pill. They'll get an injection for that. It's like, that's not how it works.
Oh man, yeah. If a lot of people make their bodies are like it's like a playground. It's like a playground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, definitely. I definitely wanted to get your opinion on that. In terms of big pharma and the government, how do you feel about that? Like the relationship between the two. Um, is it should I know we live in a capitalist society, and pharmaceutical companies, they're out there to make money for their stakeholders at the end of the day. What do you think about that whole type of relationship in that situation?
So I think that what so obviously, you know, the lobbyists. I think, on the political side, I think lobbies altogether in this country hurt the people of this country, and the big pharma lobby is big. It's real. It's very impactful. Um, they're able to move a lot of things that they shouldn't be able to do, and do things that they should not. It should not be legal in terms of pricing drugs.
Or
Buying contracts, because you have some companies that they're not actually pharma companies, they're just lawyer companies essentially. So what they do is, smaller pharma companies, they'll buy them out. Once they have good science and prove that they can make good medicines, then you buy them out, and then you take their pipeline and sell their medicines for more than they would have ethically sold their medicines, just because you can afford to buy the company. So there's companies that do that kind of stuff, and I won't name names, but you know, you know, when you're doing stuff like that, I think that that stuff should be regulated. I think that, this the other thing is that makes this conversation very difficult is that people, they don't like to hear that this is a for-profit industry. People assume that, well, we health is a right, and I think everybody has a right to health, and everybody should have a right to medicine. But what you're paying for when you're buying medication is you're paying for the stuff. What happened? Well, it's my son.
oh, it's all
You
good. It's all
you're paying for all of the research that went into this. You're paying for
good. Mm,
essentially all of the failed drugs, because if
I never thought
they
about
didn't try, so you got to essentially try, like, up to 50 or 100 drugs. My son.
it. No, it's all good. It's all good. You had your
You
dad,
got to,
now you got your son.
yeah.
I'm waiting for the grand finale. It's all good.
You got to try, you try like 50 to 100 different drug formulations before you get the one that works. And so
Yeah,
you're spending a lot of money into your pipeline, and you're trying to develop all of these different techniques. And at the end of it, you have one drug to treat one illness. And you got to be, it's the math has to work to where you're compensated enough to pay for everything that you developed before. Does that make sense?
it
it's
makes
it
sense. It's
Yeah,
I've never.
it's one of the more difficult industries, because you're not making a product like, when you make the iPhone, it's not like, you know 100 iPhones failed before I got this one.
For
Like, they
sure.
made one iPhone, they knew what they were making when they made it, and then they just started printing them out in a factory. um you know
That
it works a little bit different in medicine.
Yo, I'm so glad you said that, 'cause I never thought of it like that. Because it's
Right,
like, yo, I go on Instagram, right? Imagine if, you know what I mean? Like, I had to pay for Instagram. It was a paid for service. And I'm paying for all the iterations when Instagram didn't work, and all
right,
the crashes and bug fixes and all that stuff. So,
right,
damn, that's crazy. Like, that's a crazy thing to think
right.
about. So, on
Yeah.
the back end, when you're getting your drug, you're paying for all the times that it didn't work. Like, yo,
Well, you
that's
you
when
gotta
it didn't
pay.
work, but just for the actual funding of its
Right.
whole
You gotta
creation, what
pay
goes
for the
into it.
funding. You're paying for the funding of the scientists. You're paying for some of the most, innovative scientists in the world actually come to United States, um, to develop drugs here because we have a capitalist society, and it's actually, so there's a competition, obviously. You're also paying for clinical trials are expensive. You got to pay the different people that volunteer for the clinical trials. They might want to be compensated. You got
True.
to pay for the animals that are tested on. They are not cheap. These aren't like normal animals that they just catch in the wild. These are bred animals that are bred specifically to, you know, have whatever genetic situations that you would need them to have to use them as a model organism for your particular test. You're paying for, and again, you're paying for the ones that failed, because if you don't have everything together in one package in the development, if the company doesn't say, all right, we're going to just throw all of our resources at fixing this problem, and we have a few different candidates that we want to try to use to fix it. If
Hmm.
they just focus on one and that one fails, this company will go out of business. And remember the timeline of all of this stuff, we're talking about 3 to 7 years. So you have to invest 3 to 7 years of paying employees, paying for research, paying volunteers, paying everybody, um, and your investors, because you probably didn't have, unless you're a pharmaceutical company that's been doing this for a long time,
Yeah.
you don't have the money anyway. So you got to pay
So,
your invest you got to show your investors that you're working on this, and they want something on the back end. So
what?
so it's a lot to it. And that's not to say that these people that go up and make, oh, I'm gonna take a drug that was, $500 per treatment last year and make it $5,000 just because I can and I own it.
Yeah.
That's not right.
What's that? What's cuz name? Martin Shkreli. That was on
Yeah,
the interview.
Scarelli.
Yeah,
Yeah,
taking
yeah,
back
he's
about
a
the Wu Tang album. I'm like, what are you doing?
yeah,
Like,
he's
yeah,
a dirtbag.
for
You know,
sure.
yeah,
Damn,
like he gave
woo.
everybody a bad name, and that's not what, in terms of my company. They do things very ethically, I believe.
Got you. Okay, okay. So I'm gonna wear multiple hats, in this conversation, just
Got
cause
you.
I'm here and that's what I do.
No
Um,
problem.
so with that being said, right? And for drugs having to work and to on the back end be economically viable, right? Where do you stand on potential companies or factions uh making people ill so that their drug is there's a high demand for the drug? Do you think that's something is that something more folly? Do you think that's something that may happen, may or may not happen? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, you know what I mean? Like making people sick so they're dependent on the drug, or you know what I'm saying? Like, because I feel like now currently a lot of stuff the FDA approves as being healthy. Some stuff, like you said before, it's not probably the best thing for people. And on the back
Right.
end, there's a need for the treatment for that. You know what I'm saying? Selling the treatment.
Right.
And you just said that, pharma lobbyists, they're in there moving and shaking rooms. So like, what do you
Yeah.
kind of stand on that?
So I would say that in terms of, you know, people making treatments and making the disease more stronger so that they can develop the treatments for it.
Mhm.
Um, I personally wouldn't doubt it if it happened. I don't know if it has happened. I don't know if there's any if there's any evidence that that's ever happened. But I mean, I think there's greedy people out there. I'm sure that people would do something like that. I don't think as a whole, I think as a whole, the scientific community is an ethical group. I don't think that they are greedy. I don't think they're stingy. I think that they are, number one, I think a lot of them, think of it as they want to be the one to cure something. They want to be the champion. They want to be the hero. So there's some sort of selfish aspect, um, which I would personally take. You know,
For
if if
sure.
they're if they're if they're gonna be selfish about it, but still helping people. I mean, I think that the benefit of the world getting better from a treatment is outweighs their selfish motivations. But I think for the most part, a lot of people are in this industry to help people, and that's why I joined, and that's why I was involved with this, early in undergrad. Once I learned about, doing some research and learning about genetics and learning about things, and then getting into internships and things like that,
Mhm.
and I started working with people, and um, I thought it was fascinating, and this is what I wanted to do, so I started doing it. But not to get off track, but
No, no, no. Keep going. Go ahead.
I wouldn't doubt it if people did that. Yeah, I don't know if there's a conspiracy out there about it, but
I had to ask because
yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah. I mean,
I think I'm speaking for certain people who just want to know. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
because I know a lot has been made about Bill Gates, and uh, his campaign on people taking medicines and shoving off medicines to poor countries.
mhm.
I think that that is despicable. I don't like the idea of testing vaccines on poor people just because they're poor. I don't
Yo,
like
I
that
was gonna ask
idea.
that the whole
I
61%
don't believe in
being
any of that
African and
nonsense.
stuff like that, all that crazy
Yeah,
stuff.
no, not okay. And just recently they were talking about they're going to test a drug in a Detroit hospital, specific hospital in Detroit. I don't like any of it. I think that the best way to do things is randomized, you know, blinded, randomized. Doesn't matter what your social economic status is, doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. Um, Both ethically, number one, and number two, I think that's better science. These people in Detroit or people in Africa and India that you want to test the science on, number one, they come from a genetic makeup that might not represent the whole population. So that might that
Damn.
might sway your results as well. So for scientifically, that's bad science as
Yeah.
well as being unethical.
Damn. 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 That's crazy. Yeah, I was gonna see. I wanted to pivot into more so how you got into science, but you kind of touched on that a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
and it got kind of heavy. But yeah, if you can, did you always know you wanted to work in science, or did that happen at Marist, or what was your aha moment where it's like, oh, this is interesting?
Yeah, at Marist, when I got to Marist, I wanted to be an athletic trainer, actually. I took a couple of courses, and to become an athletic trainer, you had to take all the biology and chemistry courses
Yeah, the
early on.
biology and all that.
And yeah, and I actually like that more than I like the athletic training. So
Word.
that was my pivot point for the most part. And then a couple of my professors asked me to do research with them, and I started doing research with them in the summertime and winter breaks and things like that, and got a couple of publications while in undergrad, and then did a big research program at Albert Einstein College of Medicine in the Bronx, and that was kind of my breakout into
Yo,
this field. Yeah.
that's what's up. Shout out to the Bronx. Shout out to Fordham.
Yeah, I live in the Bronx now.
Oh, okay. Shout out to the
Yeah,
Ducks.
yeah.
Question, right? So you're doing all this undergrad, right?
Mhm.
You're playing football at the same time.
Yeah.
I did undergrad. I played football. I
Mhm.
majored in business. You know what I'm saying? Business administration, marketing. My graduate school was in communication and media and stuff like that. And my course load wasn't nothing nearly close to no biology or any stuff like that. How were you able to balance that and training and 6 a.m. workout. I don't know how you guys ran
Yeah,
it.
6 a.m.
6 a.m.
workouts.
workouts and conditioning and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You go back and now you got your eyes in a microscope going crazy. Like how did you manage to do that? You're probably were you the only person on your team in the program you're in? Let me just
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah, there was two underclassmen that were in the sciences as well, but in my class I was the only one. Yeah, I just kind of, I don't know, I was always kind of a nerd and kind of I didn't really go out much. I didn't really go to the parties and bars and stuff. I just kind of did my thing. Like I remember on the away trips, we would go on a flight and we would come back home, and I would, go and start my studies and things like that after the trip, or I'd bring books with me on the plane or on the bus for the long bus rides and things. So it was a trade off. It was a sacrifice for the most part. But I just had no interest in, like, I didn't drink until I was like 24 or 25 or something like
Yo,
that. And I
salute to
just
you.
never really.
I'm drinking now. I
Yeah.
feel bad. We
Well,
ain't
I
thinking
drink
about health.
now.
I'm drinking wine. Drinking wine
I
right now. I'm like, damn, we talking about health?
Oh no, I drink now. I drink a lot of whiskey now.
Got you. Solid,
But
solid.
yeah, but yeah, it was a lot of work, but it's just something that I took a lot of pride in, and I like to do it.
That's dope. That's dope. I think honestly, and that's one of the things that I battle with on a day-to-day basis. It's I feel like I'm a person who, if I immerse myself in something, I tend to do very well.
Right.
But I think a lot of the times I shy away from immersing myself into something because I know that it's gonna take all of my attention, it's gonna take all of my energy, and I kind of like shy away from it. So I kind of like, I guess, you know, uh, spread myself kind of thin and whatnot. And
Same.
it wasn't until like, I'm forced to, like, right now, I was saying before you were even on the podcast, I was just recapping, what I've been up to these last 2 weeks. And with this extra time, and being just by myself, I kind of find my way into things that I normally would distract myself from. You know what I mean? Whether it's audio engineering or, mixing. And shout out to my boy Ad DJ APM. I think you played with him too.
Oh yeah,
That's my man's.
I
Making
forgot.
beats or doing some research or writing or all the kind of stuff that I kind of enjoy, but I'm kind of I guess I don't want to say scared, but I guess scared to immerse myself in because I know that it takes a lot of energy and a lot of grind. So I commend somebody like you who's really gone through the process. You know what I mean? It's paying off on the back end. You're helping people. That's definitely dope.
Thanks a
Uh,
lot.
yeah, just to pivot, quick pivot. I know you write as well. You know what I mean? And I've scanned some of your Facebook posts and whatnot, and I've seen the comments, some back and forth and some support and stuff like that. And how'd you kind of get into that? You know what I mean? A lot of, I guess, politically based writings and stuff like that.
So yeah, I mean, I've been involved with a few campaigns back in college. I've haven't been too involved with it in my adult life, but recently I've been looking to get more into writing. I was just contacted by somebody from a magazine company, and they said, when this is all done with, we're gonna sit down and figure something out. So my goal is to write some politically conscious, uh, using political commentary, my opinions, scientific background, and my understanding as a black man, dealing with issues that affect our community. Um, you know, I have a lot of opinions and ideas about some of the things that goes on with our community in this country, and with the struggles for us, as well as things that we should improve on in our community. So that's kind of my interest, and I've started making some posts, and I got a lot of feedback from it. And I got contacted by a lot of people from it, and it made me more and more interested to talk more about it.
That's dope. If you can, just what's one topic that you would want to throw out there? I just want to, you know what I mean, just for conversation's sake, you know what I mean, so I could think after this conversation's over, I can like, when I'm on my bed, I just think about it like, oh, okay, you know what I mean?
Well, certainly, the impact, I think we talked a little bit about it earlier. The impact of this COVID thing is going to have on the Black community. They said that in Chicago, 60% of the deaths are Black. Um, and that is a very sombering statistic that I'm not very happy with hearing. It just, you know, in Chicago, you would imagine that, the poor people there are Black and Latino. And we live in a country that is the richest country in the world, the richest country possibly in the history of the world. In some of my research, I've realized that, in gross domestic product, the United States has the highest GDP in the world, and with a lot, New York State, Texas, and California, if they were countries, they would have the top 10 GDP in the world
Mm-hmm,
just by themselves each.
mm-hmm,
That's how rich we are. And and to have a place where, the historic minority community who has an impact in every decade in this country's development is going through something like this and still hasn't been helped with the socioeconomic status in this country. Makes me really angry, frankly. You think about, you know, some of the communities, the fact that when this whole thing first started, Black people were probably forced to work because they, live in neighborhoods where they, you have to pay rent. You probably work a job that was considered essential, ironically. You probably couldn't work from home, things like that. These are not things that I struggle from, thank God, but I sympathize with people that do. And these are one of the things that we need to have a really good discussion when it's done with. And I don't know what the solution is, but um, there's no reason why. I mean, if you look at any other country in the world, um, they don't have a minority group that's dealt with the things that Black people have dealt with in this country. Um, you know, we have a couple of NBA stars and we had a Black president, but that doesn't mean that, you know, our plight is has been
right,
rectified. It doesn't mean that these people, that their neighborhoods are being gentrified, they're being forced to work 2 and 3 jobs to keep the jobs, to keep the places that they live
yeah,
intact and keep a sense of their community, meanwhile dealing with all of the issues that they have with police brutality and things like that.
mm-hmm,
You know, and this is, some of the onus is on the Democrats, because the same Democrats that we that they come to us for votes during the election
yeah,
are the same ones that are doing zoning laws and redlining to allow for
yeah,
gentrification.
yeah,
There's not too many Republicans from the South that are Trump supporters that are gentrifying Brooklyn right now.
yeah,
These are people who voted for Barack Obama. These are uh, white, rich, liberal elites that are just as racist, maybe not in the words, but in practice,
for
as
sure.
the people um, in the South. At least if those people will call me the N word, I would
You know
prefer
who they
you
are.
say it to me in my
Right,
face than for you to kick me out of my neighborhood. I think that that's a worse N word to say.
for sure.
Um, so these are the type of things that I've been thinking about and getting involved with in our community.
Mm-hmm. Nah, that's definitely powerful, and it's definitely something that I think about on a day-to-day basis, and something that I'm deeply impacted by because just from my perspective, growing up and like my mom worked multiple jobs, my dad worked multiple jobs. They worked hard, My grandparents, same thing. They came here from St. Lucia, came here from Jamaica, same thing. You know what I mean? In my community, it's like that's our normal. You know what I mean? And I guess we get so pigeonholed in the day to day of trying to survive that we don't necessarily have the time to step back and say, wow, you know what I mean? Maybe we should be, we can go about this a different way in a per se, you know what I mean? And you're not really privy to how you're being taken advantage of. I think
Right.
so we kind of look back, in hindsight is 2020, right? So you kind of look back and you say, well, I'm doing better off than my grandma was doing. Or I'm doing
Right.
better off than my great grandmother's doing, so I guess I'm doing okay. Um,
Right.
Also that mixed in with variables like bread and circus, you know what I mean, the top athletes are black, and the top
Right.
entertainers are black, so
Right.
you get kind of misconstrued by the smoke and mirrors of entertainment to not really having to take responsibility for the situations that you're incurring on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's for me personally, I'm not a political person to say that I'm up to date with political uh not political rhetoric and the proper way about going about things, but more so I sit back and I think, and I try to like put myself in a position where I can the decisions I make can influence my community as a whole, because
Right.
at the end of the day I'm responsible for myself, and you know the reality that I live in and the things that I see on a day-to-day basis is a reflective of myself in the position that I've created. You know what I mean? I try to take the I'm responsible approach rather than a hands-off approach. So I think
Right.
kind of I've noticed when I was kind of more so in the political path, I was more hands-off. You know what I mean? It's more so, nah, this person needs to do this and this, that, and the third, da, 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 da. And I kind of felt like I was being disingenuous to the community that I live in, the community that where I spend my money, and all the all the socioeconomic factors and the people I meet on a day-to-day basis. So I think now, honestly, is a time where although things are not clear, and it's not precedented, and we don't really know where the outcome is going to be. It's a
Hmm.
good time for people to get together and really take time and try to put themselves in a better position.
Agreed.
I'm speaking very ambiguously. I tend to speak ambiguously,
No,
and
it makes sense.
nah, for sure. But it's just you're so convoluted with the day to day. And I know
Yeah.
people, communities I'm from, we're families and stuff. We're poor. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you're worried about the day-to-day basis, and I think now is a good time for people to really take a step back. I know
Right.
it can be tough, and the kids are running around, and you gotta help teach them, and this, that, and the third. And you gotta
Right.
cook dinner and all that stuff. But really take if you could take time out, really try to like put yourself in positions to where you can think about the betterment of yourself and your
Yeah.
community and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
and be thankful. And be thankful that we have the ability to do some work from home. We have the ability to think about some of these things. You
yeah,
know, we have to be mindful of the people who may be, either undocumented, who've pretty much lost all work, who've the nurses aides that are you know working for very low wages, and they're doing a lot of the scrubbing of patients and cleaning bed sheets and cleaning diapers and probably working crazy hours. It you know not to say that it takes away from the doctors and nurses, but these are people that may be in our community. If you go into a hospital, you'll see a lot of doctors, you'll see a lot of nurses, but you'll see a lot of the other workers that are CNAs, cleanup crew, nurses aides, things like that, and a lot of them are minorities, and they're working crazy hours now too. and they don't make a whole lot of money, and they're in there all the time dealing with a lot of this stuff, and I feel for them too. And so I think I agree with you. I think what you said is very important, that this is a good time for us to take a step back and look at our situation, both moving forward and both thinking about, you know, am I fortunate? Maybe I'm not where I thought I would be. Maybe I'm not where I want to be. I know that's certainly some things that I think about, but I do recognize my fortune. I have a place to live. I have the ability to pay rent. I'm still employed and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people can't say the same, and I really feel bad for them. And also on the political side, this is the time where we really need to consider who we elect. Who we elect in the smaller elections, who we elect in our local elections.
Mm-hmm.
Besides just the president, getting involved politically, getting our community together, letting people in the Democratic Party know that I'm a Democrat, by the way, but letting them know that they can't take our vote for granted. They owe us, because we carry a lot of the sway in the presidential elections and in the Senate elections and
Mm-hmm.
in the House elections. We make a lot of movements for them. So once they get elected, they owe us, and they have to represent us and do their job. um, you know, Things like that. I think that, altogether, especially with us being young and being, if we get politically involved now, not running for any politics, but just letting them know that, like, we're not stupid. We know what's going on. You can't just gentrify neighborhoods and tell us, vote for me. I like Obama. That's not how it works.
Word. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's real. Um. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time. But if you could share any last words you want to give to the people, in terms of advice you would have for them in this time like this, and just if they wanted to reach you, if that's something you want to do, you know what I mean, put that out there.
Sure. Sure, you can reach me on Facebook. It's Terrance, Terrence, Turner, Turner. I'm sitting down with a pink shirt on my Facebook profile picture. This picture's on there of my wife and my son and I. You can see some of my posts on there about some of the things I've been thinking about lately.
Yeah.
Um, I'm on Instagram at Terrance Turner 79. I don't post a whole lot of political stuff on there, but I'm gonna look to getting into Twitter and things like that. And as far as last messages, I'd say to people is stay safe. Follow the social distancing guidelines. Stay away from people that are not in your immediate family. Try to keep your circle of people that could be potentially contagious very small. Um, Reach out to your family and friends online or over the phone. Just give them some support. um, Realize that this thing is serious, but we will get through it, and we will get through it together. And just try your best to, again, like you said, reflect on what you have, and where you are in your life, and where you are with your family and things like that, and just look into the future. And hopefully, when this is all said and done, a lot of the necessary changes in this country will be done in terms of giving the healthcare to people who need it. And I didn't say this earlier when we were talking about drug pricing,
Yeah.
but you know a lot of the issues with drug pricing would be addressed if we did have nationalized healthcare, and if people couldn't just charge whatever they want, because if the government said in a mandate that health insurance will pay this and you're not going to get the rest, if you charge something crazy, that will stabilize the drug prices for the most part. Not to segue too much, but again, just stay safe, people, and God bless. And thank you so much for having me on the podcast. This was a blast. I really enjoyed speaking with you. You're very smart, and you seem like you're doing a really good thing here. So keep it up. Keep up the good work, man.
Definitely, man. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you taking the time out. You know what I mean, and just taking the time to speak and just talk to me and to the people. You know what I mean, because I feel like these are conversations that need to be had. I know you have conversations within the science community and whatnot, and I think it's good to just bridge the gap and whatnot, and just give people more outlets to get information from
All
rather
right.
than just their regular, whatever pops up on their timeline or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and it gives a little bit more time to go a little bit more in depth. But once again, I thank you for taking the time out to speak with me. Hopefully, we can reconnect maybe later on, and you can
Absolutely, man.
what's going on and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. Call me anytime. I'm down to be on the podcast another time. I'm down to chat.
For sure.
Anything. Hit
All
me up.
right, man. Definitely appreciate it, man. We'll
All
talk.
right, bro. Stay
All right.
safe.
Definitely. Be easy. All
All
right.
right.
Yep. So, we still recording? Yeah, we are still recording. So, look, man, we had a molecular biologist on here, and I think that was super informative and super dope and super responsible because, knowing me, I like I joke, but I'm serious, but I be joking. I think this kind of set the tone for, what there is to come. One thing I want to do though is I want to check in with some of the people that I had from season one. And we're gonna do that right now. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. We're gonna check back in. Man, look, man, I'm just trying stuff, bro. Like, listen, it's been quarantine. I'm trying stuff. We got video, we got audio, we got DJ equipment, we got production equipment, we got speakers, we got headphones, and we just trying to make it happen, man. And I'm trying to have the conversations that need to be had because this is all stuff I want to know too. And it wasn't until like I started like doing stuff and like trying stuff out for myself that opportunities to speak with people who are super knowledgeable and super dope and super interesting came about. Um, you know, Terrance is definitely a super interesting, smart guy. And that opportunity to talk to him came from somebody else that I had on the podcast previously. And it's just dope. It's just dope to see how things work. You got to kind of like you got to strike the match to start the fire, really. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times people are deterred from trying things because they look at the size of the mountain and they don't say like, yo, that size of the mountain starts with one step. But yeah, we here. Hold on one second. We got another guest. Yo, can you hear me? Hold on. Hold on. Yo.
Yo.
What's good? You can hear me?
Yeah. You good? I can hear you.
All right, what up, yo? This is the 14-day quarantine podcast. This is season 2, episode 1. I just recently got off before I spoke to you, I was on another call on another video with one of the homies. He's a molecular biologist, and he was like filming me in on the whole COVID situation from a scientific standpoint. I think it was super dope. But yeah, bro, who am I talking to?
What?
Your screen went black, bro. What you doing? What we doing right here? Oh, you cleaned your joint.
Yeah. I had to like wipe out the camera and shit, man. Make sure, even though we out here looking rough, that I'm clear. But nah, yo, my name is John, but everybody calls me Shy or, Chi-Town or whatever, from Chicago, Illinois, West Side. And currently live out here in DC, man. So
yeah, for all the listeners, Chi-Town was he was on episode maybe 5 and 9, I think, something like that. He was on 2 different episodes, maybe like 5 and 9. It's probably gonna be in the description anyway. But yeah, man, like this is
early episodes.
what's up?
Mm.
Would you say? What'd you just say? I'm missing.
No, I ain't saying nothing. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So this is season 2, man. I'm trying to implement new shit. You feel me? So we got video here, Zoom calls. You know what I'm saying? Had to step it up a little, son, because the people was asking.
But, hey, man, you gotta get the audience what they want, man. You know, like this is good content too. So yeah, I'm all for it.
That's a fact. Season 2. So I'm trying to just check back in from the people I spoke with season 1, just see how they holding up. You know, it's a month past. You feel me? I just want to know how you doing. You know, talk to me how you living. What's been going on in life. You know what I mean? Just a quick check-in. You feel me?
Word. Nah, for sure. Last time when we talked, I was basically saying like, yeah, man, it's gonna get real bad. You know, a lot of people was like kind of like downplaying it, like, nah, you know, it's gonna be over in a week. And, you know, the people out here kind of said like, yeah, you know, just gear up, you know, and not at the level I thought, but like, I mean, shit still, you know, shifted. Like it's definitely adjustment. Like, you know, people ain't left the crib. I ain't left the crib in like a month. You know what I'm saying? Just been in the crib. Only time, you know, you to leave is either, you know, going to the grocery store, ain't shit at the grocery store, can't get no chicken, can't get no, you know, nothing like that. But also, you know, work is also, you know, something that's been affected by this joint. And pretty much, you know, like right now, you know, you can't even go into the supermarkets or stores if you ain't got no mask on. You know,
Yeah,
the 8 o'clock curfew.
I seen you masked up crazy
You feel me?
on Alex's joint. I masked up crazy, gloved up crazy. You know what I'm saying? You being responsible. Though.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna be mad at you. Before
Yeah, nah.
the early days, I was like, yo, Chi-Town up here bugged out. But now it's like I be in the same predicament. I'm like, yo, that's a smart thing to do. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, I saw that video of you at Trader Joe's, masked up, gloved up. I was like, yeah. Like it caught on.
Yeah.
You feel me? You know, we still got some yeah, but it's definitely like it's really crazy because like you know, you want to like catch up with folks. It seems like, you know, Zoom and like, you know, what we doing now is becoming the new normal because the only thing we can pretty much do for like respect and social distancing is like, you know, doing these conversations. But you know, it's I don't know, man. It's some stuff we never seen before. But I mean, things are it's kind of calming down over here. You know, we still can't do nothing. Everything pretty much shut down. I know other states is, but you know, up in here, you know, DC is a ghost town. Like nobody's out. Maryland, Virginia, it's pretty much the same thing. You feel me? But yeah, just something I never thought I would see for sure. Can't lie.
Got you. Yeah. Did they say when they're thinking about opening back up DC and all that? So if I'm not mistaken, I spoke to some of the homeless saying they about to open up the bars probably like next week or some shit like that.
Well, like, see that, like that's the thing. Like, right now they've been talking about it, but nothing like really been concrete. I know other states have like they announced today, like Georgia is going to be opening up bars and like gyms and shit like that. So
they probably ain't never
out here, you know,
but go ahead.
huh?
I said Georgia.
Yeah, but the governor said out here for like.
Now go ahead.
Yeah, Georgia. You know, it's always. Yeah, you know, it's always the southern states. They, you know, they live on the edge anyway, so they be, you know, moving how they move. But out here, pretty much, it's still like from what I've been hearing, like from my people, you know, that's inside. They say like, you know, they can't really tell, you know, folks that they're gonna be in the crib for another 30 days. So what they do is they kind of like notify people at the end of the month, like, you know, just let y'all know we're extending the blasey blah for the next 30 days, because they can't just say, You know what I'm saying? Because if they would have just told us back like a month ago, like, yo, y'all about to be in the crib for the next 3 months, you know,
For the
people will
year.
lose their mind. So
That's like
yeah, for the year.
that's like the Chappelle episode when a homie was acting like Diddy with the band. So I got some. He's like, I got some bad news. The studio closed.
I got some bad.
Like, damn, like you could have been told me that. You feel me? Yeah, you right.
Yeah, yeah. So like that's why I've been hearing, but you know, same time, you know, everybody just been in the crib, being on our creative mode, you know, just you know, in the lab doing music and you know, trying to find other ways. You know, right now as a marketer, you know what I'm saying, this is the perfect time for digital marketing because it's on how you can like really, you know, engage with your audience. So, you know, just trying to find a new other ways to do that as well. You know, just trying to stay productive at this quarantine period.
Got you. I got something. Yo, so we've had conversations outside of this. You feel me? We gotta have real nigga conversation. You feel me? I've had the higher level. You know what I'm saying? Responsible. You know what I mean? Which is definitely
yeah.
and is definitely paramount, and it definitely should take precedence over what I'm going to say now. But you know what I mean? For your friend of mine, you hit me this past weekend. You feel me? It's a little situation that was going down. For the listeners who don't know, you may have seen this image on your timeline. It may have some names on it. It may be like a little diagram. And it may have, you know what I'm saying? It may have been an opportunity for you to make some money as long as you inputted some money.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? What do they call it? What is it called?
It was called the little dream wheel, like
Dream Wheel.
well, it was what was the exact name for? I mean, everybody was calling it, of course, the Ponzi scheme.
The Ponzi scheme. I did that too. I know. I'm laughing now just because I know you good. I'm just laughing now because I know you good. You feel me?
Yeah.
But like,
Facts,
if you can, just tell the listeners what's going on because we got to get what's going on in these streets, in these quarantine streets. Like, what's the hustle's been like?
Man, the hustle is always the same, man. When people get cash flow like them stimulus check, you know, people like, yo, how can I get in there, man? Everybody on my neighbor just got $1,200. I need to find a way to get me at least 2, 3 of them shits from like 9 people. You feel me? So, you know, like that's how the mind works. So yeah, like I mean, I came on my timeline. Come on, it's the weekend. We've been bored here for a month. I'm like, all right, yo, what the fuck is this? Usually I probably been like, fuck no, I'm not messing with this. But you know what I'm saying? I was like, you know, at this time, like I'm bored, whatever.
Right.
And then what really caught me is that people that I knew, you feel me, that's not really in that, you know, that world, when they was telling me like, nah, yo, I made some money, you feel me? I was just like, I'm already on the edge. So them just telling me, I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, why not? Let me try this shit.
I got an extra buck.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I got extra buck. Like, you know, I just got some shit. So let me just try it. Let me just shoot my shot. Because people was cashing out. You feel me? And people was showing me. So I was like, all right, let me give this a try. Did I cash out? No. You feel me? Like, I ended up losing, but the group I was in, we was real cool and we was helping each other out. So she was like, yo, you know, like she was a real one, let me break even. But a lot of people I know lost money with that shit, Joe. You feel me? Don't
Hold on 1 second. Let me just fill the listeners in. So, you know, with this whole situation, right? The whole scheme is, you know, you put 100 in and you get, I guess, was it 8 people to come underneath you?
Yeah, so like, yeah, you get 100 in, right?
Yeah.
And each time you add someone, like their name is added to the wheel. And it's supposed to be like 3 rounds. So by the 3rd round, you create one and you add those individuals that was behind you onto the wheel. And then the goal is to get 8 people. And once that 8 spots is filled up,
you good.
Boom, you good, you cash out. Because
cash out
like,
800.
Yeah, because like, yo, if you're in the center, you feel me? The centerpiece is your Cash App. It's your, you know, everybody's sending the money to you directly.
Got it.
You feel me?
Yeah.
You feel me? So like, you know, like you know when it's coming in. All right, yo, I got somebody to sign up. All right, give them go out the BAMs. You feel me? Cash App, which would be you. You feel me? And that'll come in. You get it. So yeah, and then like that's how it works. But like, you know, niggas get lazy. Niggas don't want to do that shit. You know, you know, people think it's a scam because it kind of is. But I mean, so is life. So it's like just two-way street to me.
For real. Yo, nah, it's all good
life,
though. It happens.
life
Like,
is a pyramid scheme.
yo, life is a pyramid scheme for your ass, for sure. Niggas getting schemed
For your
left
ass.
and right, bro. You know what I'm saying? This the least of the schemes. This ain't nothing. $100 scheme.
Exactly. This is minor.
Facts.
You probably been finessed way worse
For
than
sure.
this.
I'm
For
getting
real, in your lifetime.
getting finessed right now. You feel me? Like, but you know it happens. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But yeah, I just needed your input on that because I know we had that conversation. It was something
Yeah,
out
man.
on the streets. You feel me? Like, I just had to get the you know, the real time experience of somebody who partook. You feel me?
Yo, but yeah, exactly, because this man right here definitely gave me the 411. Told me like, man, this shit got me 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But let me know what's up. Let me know what happened. I was like,
Yo,
I
yeah.
was ready to the text like, cha-ching bag, nigga. I cashed out, but then nah, I didn't. But I mean, it is what it is.
It's all good. It's all good. It happens, bro. It happens,
It
bro.
was some 420 cash, so it's all good.
Oh yeah, it is
Oh,
420.
yeah, happy 420
Celebrating.
by the way.
Gang. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
man.
didn't indulge. I didn't partake in nothing. But go ahead.
I mean, we did. I haven't done it yet, but you know, I mean, it's 420 all the time, so you know. But it's the national holiday, so I guess we'll salute to all the smokers out there. You know, twist one.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Facts. All right, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to take too much of your time up, bro. I just wanted to check in. We gonna wrap for a little bit longer later on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely continue to tap in, man. You know, I'm definitely in tune for all the, you know, shows. This is a good way to, like, when this shit is all over, you know what I'm saying, for us to all like look at this and like, yo, this shit was documented. You feel me? This is scripture. So that's what's up.
Definitely. Yo, speaking of that,
What's
yo,
happening?
live creators, listen, bro. Look, I ain't gonna lie. I've told the listeners earlier. Yeah, I'm talking kind of loud, but I told the listeners earlier that yo, I got let me see if I could put my screen down. I got my keyboard on my keyboard. You feel me? I've been doing some production on the cool tip. You feel me? Like, and right now I'm at a point where, you know, the pre podcast music and stuff like that. I'm tired of playing other people's shit. I'm tired of playing people I don't know shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to play strictly the homies, people I really fuck with, people that's on the come up, my own shit. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, if we building the platform, you might as well use, you know what I'm saying, the building blocks of the platform versus, yo, damn, let me just play this new baby shit, or let me play this new Young Thug. I don't know these niggas. You feel me? So I'm trying to wheel and deal, trying to put my people on wherever I can, or work with them, whatever the case may be. So what's up? You know what I'm saying?
Man, say less, man. I you know, the other two of the 5 creators, they in the next room right now. So like, that's nothing to send you some instrumentals so we can you know, do the playbacks and shit. But you know, that'll be dope. Now I got you. I'm
instrumentals, singing joints, rapping joints, whatever. I don't care, bro. I just want a library of music. I could be like, yo, boom, yo, quarantine radio, boom. Just throw that. Well, who got that? Tori got that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, son, I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
This the homies. This the homies. This is what we on right now. We lit. This is what we on. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Also, bro, we gotta get the rest of the vibe creators on here too, man. So we get all chop it on this joint for real, for real.
I'm with it. I'm with whatever. You feel me? Y'all could do it from the lab, whatever the case may be. Sample some. It don't matter. I'm with whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Say less.
Got you, bro.
For real, I got you.
Yo, I appreciate you taking the call. You feel me? We gonna rap later. You already know how it is.
No doubt.
All right.
You already know, man. So.
Yeah. Easy. All right. So, two guests. Episode 1 of season 2. Really, episode 15. And this is 14-day quarantine podcast. Um, 14 days is definitely passed. We're just gonna keep running with the name because that is just too fire. It's a fire name. I can't believe I came up with that just on my. Let me stop bullshitting. But no, definitely. I want to thank both guests, Terrance and Chi-Town, for taking the time out to speak with me. And I want to thank all the listeners, all the watchers, all the service workers, all the essential workers, all the non-essential workers, everybody that's out here that's willing and dealing. You know what I'm saying? God bless to everybody that passed away. Um, God bless anybody that's enduring hardships, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I just want to just spread love and um just big up everybody, man, because we're all in it together. It's the one time when you're like, yo, we're all in this together to a certain extent or some degree. You feel me? It's like the movie V for Vendetta. You remember V for Vendetta? At the end of the movie, everybody had on the what's the name mask on. Like I walk around, everybody got the mask on. I can't tell who's who. I might be able to tell their skin color by their forehead, but at the end of the day, that mask is very symbolic that what's going on is faceless, and it's not about you. You know what I mean? Your features are covered up, so it kind of brings people together in that regard. But yeah, I don't want to get too sappy or like philosophical and all that stuff. But I just want to thank everybody for listening. This is 14-day quarantine podcast, and it's your boy 80. Hi.